With us now is Andy Cahan, who is a musician from way back in the day. He has played with some of the best bands in the world. Andy, some of the bands you played with in the past.
The Turtles for 40 years.
Oh yeah.
Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Seals and Crofts, Dr. John and the Night Tripper, Geronimo Black, Frank Zappa, Harry Nielsen, Jimmy Webb, Steve Cropper, John Belushi, Timothy Leary, you name it. It's
Wow.
hundreds of celebrities
That,
that
that,
are
that
all in.
that's
They're
an,
all in my book.
which is of course nobody can see you since we're on the radio. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Andy's showing me his book. We're on a Zoom conversation right now that I'm recording, which we'll use to broadcast back later on.
Uh,
But Andy, tell us about your book real quick.
yeah, it's called The Most Famous Musician You've Never Heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the story of my life in the music industry with Jimi Hendrix and the Turtles and Harry Nielsen and Jimmy Webb and Seals and Crofts and Little Richard and Chuck Berry and R.B. Greaves and Jeff Skunk Baxter. And, it just goes on and on. Felix Cavalieri.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's got hundreds of celebrities
If it's
that
been
I've.
if it's been in rock and roll or pop or blues, you've played with them, huh?
Oh yeah, it's all there. My index is a mind blower because everywhere you go, you see all these famous people.
And not only that, but you're famous for something in your own right. That was the 1974 Grammys. You were the music director for the 74 Grammys, right?
Yes, I was the music director for Little Richard and Chuck Berry, which was completely, totally amazing because our rehearsal was in a back room and I was sitting at an upright piano and Little Richard was there right next to me and Chuck was standing there with his guitar and we rehearsed all their hit records for the show. And of course, the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, February 9th, 1964, that was the reason I really pursued the music business because of the Beatles. So here I was full circle with the Beatles idols. Paul idolized Richard and John idolized Chuck. So it was extremely exciting.
And of course, the Beatles did cover a lot of R&B artists from the late 50s, early 60s too, when they broke out in '64.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, what are you doing these days?
Oh, I'm promoting my book like a maniac. And, I get on Instagram and Facebook. What I really would like is a professional PR agency to represent me because my goal is to appear on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, wow.
If I can do that, I will be extremely happy.
And in this book, more about the book, I asked you about it some time ago when we were talking about is it available on Kindle? And you said not really because it's more of a coffee table book than anything else.
Yeah, when I was growing up in junior high school, and they gave me all these books I had to read, like All Quiet on the Western Front and the Scarlet Letter, and Of Mice and Men, and all that. I hated reading, but I loved looking at pictures. So I decided, after going through my archives, which I've saved everything from calendars to contracts to photos to LPs, vinyl, everything, I decided to make a coffee table book with a lot of pictures that nobody's ever seen before
And
all these.
I know you said the
of all
book is available.
celebrities.
Yeah, you said the book is available on Amazon, but you also said if you want a signed copy to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Very, very easy. Go to your cell phone and Google the most famous musician you've never heard of. And my name will pop up immediately. And you can click on a website that my editor put together called Best Classic Bands. And then they have a sample chapter from my book with Harry Nielsen, Ringo Starr, Timothy Leary, and Joe Walsh.
Oh, wow.
And that's just a sample chapter. It's a partial chapter, too. The book is huge. It's 345 pages and weighs 2.5 pounds.
That is something. Well, we talk about you being a musician, but we haven't talked about the instrument or instruments you play. What are they?
Well, my first instrument was the drums. I was 10 years old, and my cousin gave me his drum kit. So I started on the drums. Then my dad sat me down at a piano, and he taught me how to play rhythm and lead all at the same time, and it's alternating left and right hands. So I was playing drums and piano. Then later on, I picked up the guitar. And then, of course, after that, I picked up the bass. So I can play drums, piano, guitar, and bass, which I have done, with a TAC 4 track or a Pro Tools, and played all the instruments and singing everything. So that's my love of music right there.
That is kind of interesting because I believe I understand this correctly. You actually have a recording studio in your home?
Yes, it's called the Demo Doctor. And Eric Carmen, all by myself, he recorded 12 songs in my studio that were written pre-Raspberries, before the Raspberries were formed, which is really great stuff. And Harry Nielsen recorded 35 songs with me in my living room. He brought Jimmy Webb over to do a song that Jimmy Webb recorded, and he brought Ringo Starr over to my living room to do some children's stories. And of course, I recorded with Howard Kalin, the lead singer of the Turtles, and we put out an album called Dust Bunnies, which was finally recorded at Billy Bob Thornton's studio on Roxbury in Beverly Hills.
Didn't Billy Bob sit in with you on that one too?
Yes, he's on a song. He does a cameo on a song we did called Music. Mm-hmm. And I'm playing all the music on my synthesizer, and Howard was singing, and Billy Bob did this cameo. So really great stuff.
Wow. And I will say to our audience here at WSC, we'll be playing one or two of those songs that we were just talking about during the show today, right here on WUSC-FM. So what are your plans for the future? You're going to be doing some more recording?
Well, I'm always recording. I'm performing a lot with a band from Mississauga, Canada, outside of Toronto. The name of the band is called the Dreamboats. And these guys are in their 30s. I'm 76. So I've been a turtle for 40 years. So I always tease them. I say, hey, I've been a turtle longer than you've been living. But anyways, these guys are absolutely the best band I've ever seen in my life.
It's funny. I had a conversation with Howard Kalin some time ago, and we discovered that he was starting college radio out there in Los Angeles. At the same time, I was starting college radio in Columbia, South Carolina. So it really
That's
is
wonderful.
It's funny how it all, everything is related somehow.
Yeah. So anyhow, I am working with the Dreamboats, as a guest artist. And of course, we do Happy Together and Everybody Goes Crazy. And I've been doing that. And I have my own trio, and I play left-hand bass on the keys. And we do, all the British Invasion, the Kinks, the Zombies, the Beau Brummels, Dave Clark 5, Beatles, all that stuff. We do Everly Brothers. We just do all the 50s and 60s retro stuff.
Yeah. And I'm assuming, excuse me, I think maybe you have some dates maybe coming up soon.
Well, on the 9th of next month, I'm playing a pool party with them. But there are going to be other gigs coming up at some venues out here in the Palm Springs area.
So this is a California pool party?
Yeah. Yes,
Oh,
it certainly is.
the mind is just wandering now.
Yeah. Oh, I love pool parties.
Yeah.
It's
And
a visual. Yeah.
yeah. Andy, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us today and talking about what's going on. And we definitely will keep in touch with you um, and let folks know when you have additional dates coming up, because sometimes folks from over here get out to the West Coast and like to rock and roll with some of the great artists. And you certainly are one of those who has been a big part of the California rock and roll scene.
That's true. Yes. I've played with everybody you can think of.
Well,
I'm like the Wrecking Crew, but I'm just one guy, and I play with everybody.
well, you bring them up. Did you ever play? I'm assuming you've played with guys from the Wrecking Crew, but did you ever record with the crew?
Well, I recorded with Larry Knechtel.
Oh, yeah.
He did the string and horn arrangements on a song that I wrote with Jimmy Seals of Seals and Crofts. And a beautiful lady named Patty Dahlstrom did her own version of the song on 20th Century Fox. And like I said, Larry Knechtel from the Wrecking Crew did the string and horn arrangements. And David Kemper, the drummer with Jerry Garcia and Bob Dylan, was on the drums. And David Hungate, the bass player from Toto, was on bass.
Wow.
And it was a really great song. It's on 20th Century Fox. And the name of the song is called Break of Day, Patty Dahlstrom.
Okay.
And it's on YouTube, and you can check it out.
Yep. Andy, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We really appreciate you sharing your life experiences in rock and roll.
Well, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.